Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Have you ever experienced a moment so powerful that it changed your entire perspective on a person or on life itself? A moment when something so simple yet so profound made you realize that there's more to someone than meets the eye. Well, today, I'm going to share a story with you, a moment that many never saw coming. A moment when President Donald Trump, someone often portrayed in the public eye for his policies and speeches, showed a side of humanity that took everyone by surprise. This moment wasn't about a political stance or a heated debate. It was about kindness, something that transcends party lines and personal beliefs. It was an act of genuine care that demonstrated the power of one small gesture. Before we dive into this inspiring story, I have a quick request. If you believe in spreading the message of compassion and leadership, please hit that subscribe button. Let's reach 1,000 subscribers and continue sharing these stories that remind us all of what truly matters: compassion, kindness, and humanity. Now, let me take you back to the summer of 2018. Washington, D.C. was sweltering in the heat, a typical scorching summer day. The air was thick, heavy with humidity, but that didn't stop the excitement. The streets were packed with people, fans, reporters, and onlookers, eagerly waiting for President Trump to make his way through the city for a public event. The motorcade, a long line of black SUVs, made its way through the crowded streets. People were holding signs, waving flags, and there was an unmistakable air of anticipation. Cameras were flashing, and the city was buzzing with the kind of energy that only a high-profile visit can bring. The president was expected to make a grand appearance, something that would grab headlines, something that would draw attention. But amidst the energy of this event, amidst all the noise and the rush of the crowd, there was one young boy. He wasn't caught up in the excitement of waving flags. Instead, he stood quietly at the edge of the crowd, holding a homemade sign. He had carefully crafted this sign, pouring his energy into it, words of admiration and support. Yet, as the crowd roared around him, he felt small. His sign wasn't perfect. The edges were a little crumpled from the heat. He began to doubt himself, wondering if anyone would notice, wondering if he would be lost in the shuffle of more glamorous signs and louder cheers. Can you remember a time in your life when you felt that same uncertainty? When you worked hard for something, but in the end felt like it didn't measure up to what others were doing? This boy was in that very moment, filled with self-doubt and the fear that no one would see him, no one would notice his effort. And then, something unexpected happened. As the motorcade passed by, with cameras flashing and crowds cheering, President Trump looked out of his window, and he saw the boy. At first glance, the boy wasn't making a lot of noise. He wasn't jumping up and down or waving a big flag. Instead, he stood quietly, with a somewhat sad look on his face, unsure whether his sign would matter in the grand scheme of things. But President Trump saw him. He didn't just look at the boy and move on. No, he stopped. He saw something in that boy, something that many others missed, an opportunity to make a difference. And for a brief moment, the focus wasn't on the speeches, the policies, or the headlines. It was on a simple interaction between two people, one who needed encouragement and the other who had the ability to give it. The president instructed his motorcade to slow down and stop. Secret Service agents were puzzled, but the president was focused. He stepped out of his car, and as the crowd quieted down in surprise, he walked straight toward the boy. Now imagine this. Amidst the flashing lights, the cameras, the noise of the crowd, and the scrutiny of a public figure like President Trump, he made a conscious decision to walk toward a child, kneel down, and engage in something very simple but incredibly powerful. He looked the boy in the eyes and asked, "Hey there, why aren't you smiling like the others? What's going on?" The boy, hesitant at first, explained his fear. His sign wasn't perfect. It had wrinkles, and he wasn't sure anyone would see it. He was scared that his effort would be lost in the larger crowd. And that's when President Trump did something remarkable. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a $100 bill, and handed it to the boy. He said, "Here, this is for you. Hold that sign high and be proud of it. You matter. Don't be afraid to stand out." And just like that, a moment of uncertainty turned into a moment of pure joy. The boy's face lit up with a smile. His body language changed. He stood taller, held his sign up proudly, and the crowd erupted in cheers. The president had done something that many would have missed. He had recognized that this boy needed encouragement, needed a moment of attention, and most importantly, he gave it to him. But let's step back for a second and think about what that moment really meant. Yes, it meant a lot to the boy. It lifted his spirit, gave him confidence, and turned his entire day around. But the impact didn't stop there. What happened in the seconds that followed was just as powerful. The crowd, who had been waiting for the grand spectacle, witnessed something far more meaningful. They didn't just cheer because the president gave the boy money or noticed him. They cheered because they saw something deeper, an acknowledgement that kindness matters. They saw that in the midst of politics, amidst all the noise and division, there are still moments when humanity takes precedence. This wasn't a moment driven by political gain or headlines. It was a moment driven by compassion. And isn't that what we need more of today? Compassion, not just in the private moments, but in the public moments too. The president's simple act of kindness sent a message not just to that boy, but to the thousands of people witnessing it. Kindness is powerful. A small gesture can change someone's day, and perhaps even their life. This story reminds us that leadership is not just about authority, speeches, or laws. It's about connection. Leadership is about seeing people. It's about recognizing when someone is in need of support and stepping in to make a difference. It's about taking the time to notice the quiet ones, the ones who may feel overlooked, and making them feel seen and heard. You don't have to be a politician to be a leader. You don't have to be famous to make a difference. Every day, we all have the opportunity to show compassion. Whether you're a parent, a teacher, a colleague, or a friend, you have the power to uplift others, to inspire them with simple acts of kindness. Let's face it, life is difficult. We all go through moments of self-doubt, moments where we feel like we're not enough, where we fear that our efforts will go unnoticed. It's in those moments that a kind word, a small gesture, or even a simple acknowledgement can make all the difference. It's a reminder that we all matter and that we are seen. So what can we learn from this moment? What can we take with us as we go about our lives? First, let this story remind us that leadership is about lifting others up, especially when they need it most. It's about showing kindness in a world that can sometimes feel overwhelming. It's about choosing compassion every single day, no matter who you are or where you stand in life. And as I mentioned earlier, I invite you to take part in this journey of spreading kindness and leadership. Hit that subscribe button. Let's reach 1,000 subscribers so we can continue to share stories like these that remind us of the power of compassion, of recognizing each other, and making the world a better place through small, meaningful actions. Thank you for listening, and remember, it's the moments of kindness that change the world. Let's all be part of that change.